Hello, very good evening. Namaste, and welcome to the Festival of Bharat. Today I'm joined by a very special guest all the way from Denmark. And in fact, she is the first Scandinavian guest that we have on our platform. Now, it's a very interesting introduction that I have for her because she has a Muslim ancestry and she's living in Denmark, which is a Christian majority state, and she has imbibed certain Hindu values. And she has a name which is predominantly Sikhi in nature, at least in pronunciation and in the way in which it sounds. Please join me in welcoming Amina Sardar ji. Amina ji, thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. I hope everything's well there.
Namaste. Hello. Hi to everyone. And I would like to say thank you for having me, Sharan. Yes, I live in Denmark. I'm born there, raised by a Muslim family. Originally, my roots, they are from Afghanistan, all the way back. I mean, literally way back. Right. But around 1930s or 20s, maybe around that, plus minus, my, great parents, ancestors, they moved to India. And there was no Pakistan at that point. And they moved to India, to a city called Dehradun. Right. So we have this connection to India. And then, when Pakistan became, and, the fight and all, then some of my family members went to Pakistan and some remained in India. So there is this, connection in heart that I can feel that my family, they talk about a lot about India. And that's maybe I have it from so much, this connection, because, since childhood, I always heard good things. And as far as I know, somebody from my family, like grandparents, they were, they took their education in India, and they only came back to Pakistan because some other family members asked them to come and move, and come to Pakistan.
You had a chance to come to India anytime?
Listen, I would love to come. A couple of years ago, I wanted to come, but then my education started, so it came to a halt. But I would love to come. There is so much I would love to see. The temples, the food, the people, the culture. Oh my goodness, the culture is so with colors. I mean, if somebody would ask like, Amina, what about the Indian culture? If you could say it in one sentence, one word, colorful, and fun. Right. So, but how much does it matter with my last name? Because my last name is Sardar. Right. How much of it is, to do with India in any way? I have no idea, to be frank. But but many people, they say you were, Indian or Sikh or something. You know what? Right. I'm not declining it because I don't know. All I know is that all the way back till 1800, at least, that I know, my roots are like Pathan, Afghani, right, and Muslim, you can say, and Sardar is like a family name.
Right.
So
very interesting. Let me straight off jump into my first question, Amina ji. Why did you leave Islam?
Well, you see, my purpose was never to leave Islam. That is the main interesting point here, because when I went into educating myself about Islam, that is how I left Islam. The thing is, I went in it because, first of all, there was an issue about drawing of Muhammad in around 2002-3, approximately, plus minus. And I, living in Denmark, couldn't understand why somebody could go out and burn the cars and, make a mess in the city because of a drawing. Right. And I was a Muslim at that point, and I was very much into like, no, you shouldn't do these things. Even as a Muslim, I didn't care whether they made him like a clown, because for me, Muhammad's face was not clear. I didn't know, why should I get upset in that sense? Right. So I was very calm. And then later on, because Facebook, was invented, and then people started coming. I came to Facebook very late, but then I started listening to people and reading people saying that Prophet Muhammad is a pedophile. And then I said, why are you saying he's a pedophile? He's not a pedophile. Where do you get that from? And then they said, listen, Amina, he's a pedophile. I said, what's your proof? And then they showed me the hadith, which is considered to be the Sahih, authentic hadiths. So I went, of course, home and I spoke with the elders and I said, is this true? And they said, yes. And then I said to myself, if I am supposed to respect the Prophet of Islam, then how can I accept a book like that? Because it's a blasphemy in itself. So I stopped believing in hadiths completely. And the consequences of not believing in hadiths anymore was that the Muslims started calling me a kafir, a disbeliever, just because I did not want to believe hadiths, but just the Quran. So that made me think as well, like, how can you call me a kafir when I'm not declining, saying that Quran, I'm not saying anything to Quran, I'm saying to the hadith, a man-made book. Anyway, then came the Quran, then I started researching the Quran, studying the Quran. And as further I went in the Quran, I started seeing on different platforms. One thing is I read something, but then I started Googling like crazy till 3 o'clock in the morning. And I used to sit in my living room till 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what I used to say? I used to say, Allah, show me the truth. And the funny part is, I did see the truth on so many different platforms that I ended up leaving Islam.
Right. What aspects of Quran or say the Hadith for that matter, do you disagree with, especially in a theological sense of speaking?
Well, when I read, let me say this much, when I read the Hadith, because then my focus started, later on when I did come out of the Islam, then I focused a lot in Hadith. One of the things that really caught my attention was about Bibi Aisha. Because when people convert, the Muslims, they never talk about Bibi Aisha. They always talk about Khadija, like the businesswoman. Wow, look how Muhammad and her, the big fancy sugarcoating story. They forget to tell that Prophet Muhammad, married a 6-year-old girl. They get an amnesia. So that was one of them. And that women are really degraded in Hadith, literally. Nasty, that she is like, if a Muslim man is praying, if a woman goes by, his namaz, his salah, the prayer is broken, and she's a bad woman, and much more. The list is long. In the Quran, which caught my attention, and to be frank, I did not know this, was about the wife beating.
Okay.
I did not know that you can beat your wife. That was a shocker for me. Right. And then when I read on different platforms, the flaws, and of course, if somebody said something, I always double checked if it was written in the Quran. Right. And I found so many issues with the Quran that one place Allah says in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah 256, that you have freedom of religion. And then somewhere else, he contradicts it and say, you don't have freedom of religion. One place he says that this Quran is precise in detail. On the other side, he says it's not precise and in detail. So there were so many contradictions, and Quran not being in a chronicle system, that I said to myself, it cannot be a book of God.
Right. I've seen a lot of quote unquote Islamic scholars many of whom have fled India because a lot of uncomfortable questions were raised. Misinterpreting what was written in the Quran or the Hadith, saying that, oh, this is not exactly what he meant, and this is exactly what he meant. Probably, perhaps people are taking it the wrong way.
This is very interesting. Now, I have my platform. Sometimes when people come, these Muslims, first of all, they come and they throw this on you that, look at the tafsir, Amina. You have to look at Ibn Kathir's tafsir. And then my first point there is, who has given Ibn Kathir the right to interpret the Quran to begin with?
Right.
When the Quran itself is a tafsir. The Quran says it very clearly. There's a surah which says an ayah that says the Quran is in tafsir itself. So when somebody comes and says to me, Amina, look at the tafsir, then I say, listen, don't give me this nonsense, because Quran is in tafsir. And another point, If you look at the translations of the Quran alone, forget the tafsir. If you look at the translations of the Quran, if you look at 10 different mullah scholars translating, you will see 10 different translations.
Correct.
They are never the same.
Depending on the language as well.
Exactly, because this is also something they throw at you. They say, oh, well, Amina, you don't know the language, how. But the mullahs, the big scholars who have studied it, they are disagreeing among themselves. So you can imagine.
In security studies, when we were actually studying, radical Islam, especially in terms of the ideologies which emanate even from Western Uttar Pradesh, which is a part of India. Now, if you see, a lot of these extremist organizations use Deobandi Islam or Wahhabi Islam, or even for that matter, Barelvi Islam, and at least 2 out of 3 of these emanate from India. One of the most common excuses given is that many of you people who study the Quran or Islamic theology do not study it in Arabic, which is the reason why you misinterpret it. But that is not the case, is what I've heard from a lot of people. But in that sense, you also mentioned blasphemy somewhere in the conversation. And in India, this has become a popular demand, okay? And it's like a bhelpuri of different things. Right now, for me to explain the domestic politics to you will probably take a lot of time. But in short, let me tell you this. So blasphemy laws are being asked by certain radical Muslim groups in India. Now, Hindus as a whole, as a community, don't have a concept of quote unquote blasphemy or something. And we've never demanded such a law be enacted as well. So do you support the idea that there needs to be a blasphemy law, not just in India, but anywhere around the world, because a certain community may be hurt by what you're saying?
No, I do not support it. I believe in freedom of speech. I would like to say that this is something, according to my observation, another trick system that they're creating again. Before we had this, we heard, Islamophobia, Islamophobic word. Then before they used a lot racism card, and threw it on people, and they still do it. I'm not trying to say all of them, but it happens. And this is the new fashion, the new in, where they are starting to throw this on your face about blasphemy. It's a good tactic from their side. If they want to, I feel like if they want to get rid of somebody, this is a good way to do it. And it doesn't matter if it is one of their own people. But I would like to say that they have to look at themselves first. If they want blasphemy, if they want to really, let's be frank here, if these Muslims really want to talk about blasphemy, first of all, read your own history books or your own books. Forget the history. Look at the hadith. These people don't realize that their own man, I think he was a Khalifa or something, I can't remember. His name is Uthman in the Sahih Bukharis. When he compiled the books, it was after Muhammad's death. He was the one who got the original Quran. He got it from Hafsa. He got it, and then he got it written down, and then he sent it back to Hafsa, and he told Hafsa to destroy and burn the original Quran. Now, is that not blasphemy? How come blasphemy doesn't go the other way around? How come racism doesn't go the other way around on Muslims? How come we cannot say the same thing, that they're Kafir phobia, they are Jew phobia, they are Hindu phobia? Why is it that we never talk about Muslims acting in a certain way?
Speaking about blasphemy, let me connect this with the Charlie Hebdo incident, and there have been numerous incidents that have happened. What is your take on quote unquote Islamophobia as a concept?
I think it's rubbish, to be frank. I think it's nonsense. I think when someone invents these words like Islamophobia, Islamophobic, or racism, or another, they have this new one, blasphemy. Listen, this is not the way to solve a problem. This is a way to create problems. You never create bridges, you destroy them. It is called barriers as well. You create barriers. And this is, for me to see people acting like it is ridiculous.
Right.
I lose respect for such people. For me, it is so crucial that we pick these subjects up and we talk about them and we make it viral so we can stop it. It's not to create hatred or division. That's not what I'm saying. It's just to avoid it, to be honest.
Right. So if I'm getting you right, what you mean is that perhaps the Islamists who are defending and inventing all of these terms, which are outward looking, called blasphemy and Islamophobia, rather should look within themselves for reforms.
Yes. Yes. They should, in today's time, there are so many books out there, religions, dharams and all. They have all changed with time. They have evolved. They have moved on with this era. The problem with Islam is it doesn't want to go further with this time. It wants to go backwards.
It wants to be retrograde, right?
It wants to go back, not forward. And that's not a good thing.
Right. And I'm, as a Kafir, I'm interested more about, how certain people who believe in this ideology view Kafirs, and is it actually as serious as they say it to be?
In which way? Sorry, can I have it again?
In the sense that, we have heard that, there is a concept called Kafirs, where especially the Islamists use that as an excuse to wipe out every other living species on the planet of Earth. But can you tell us more, especially from an Islamic point of view, about how dangerous this concept is?
Well, I mean, one thing is for me to leave Islam, it's dangerous. I'm lucky to be in Scandinavia, in my country, and be so blunt, and luckily to have people around me that supports me. But it's not for everyone. It's not that easy, even if you live in the Western countries, because you can be hunted, you can be killed.
Yeah. Have you faced any threats?
Well, I got spit after.
Oh my God.
I was spit after, and I live around people who are gangsters, so it's not easy, you see. But I take it, you can say, I will not say easy, but for me, it's very crucial to be a free person and not somebody's slave. I don't want to fear, because fear is something called control. Fear is equal to control, and I don't want to be controlled by somebody, plain simple. But the thing is, it's very dangerous in the way to be a kafir or disbeliever or a polytheist in Islam. For example, if let's say in India, or plain simple, in a non-Muslim country, if Islam comes, it means Sharia Khalifat will come, in the sense that you will lose all your rights as a polytheist. To be able to survive, you have to give a jizya, protection money, and in a way you are their property. So if you want to be, protected by the government, so nobody kills you, kind of, so you have to pay money. It's almost, I feel like it's like a mafia, by the way, like mafia protects you, your shop from other mafia, from other group of people. I feel the same way with jizya, and it's not a normal tax. Like you pay tax to the government so you can provide for the welfare for other people or something. It's not that kind of a jizya tax. It's a tax that disbelievers, kafir, polytheist, it's for them.
Right. I mean, we've had that experience for just about 1,000 years now. So, we are a little aware of the concept. But what interests me further is that those people who have converted to Islam from different other religions are also called kafirs. In spite of them being Muslims.
People being like leaving another religion to be a Muslim, they're also considered to be kafir.
Yeah, because they are quite puritanical in the sense that they say that only we are the pure breed of Muslims, and the others who have converted from different religions are not. They're still kafirs.
Listen, now this is a very funny concept. I laugh at this. It is hilarious among Muslims. I spoke about it the other day. A video, but it's not enough. When we have to talk about it. That. And now I'll tell you something. I'm not going to try to say it a lot, but I'm trying to make it short. The funny thing about Muslims are, a group of people, they believe, the Sunni Muslims, that they are the real Muslims. Then we have this group of Shia, we have, Ahmadiyya, we have so many group of people. Now, they are considered not to be real Muslims in the eye of Sunni
Correct.
Muslims.
Yeah.
And the interesting part is, if you read the Quran, here comes the best part. If you read the Quran, even Allah says, I know you say you're a Muslim, I mean, you're a believer, but I know what goes on in your heart.
Right.
So, I believe sometimes when a Muslim is acting in a specific way, it's because Allah's spirit is in them. They're acting like Allah, because Allah says in the Quran that I have given you my spirit, like my spirit is in you,
Right.
So when a Muslim, acts in a certain way, it's because there's a piece of Allah in him or her. And for the Muslims to say, well, I do not represent, Islam, my actions. No, I'm not saying all, I'm not trying to generalize, but I mean, many of them, they cannot always try to get away with the excuse of that this is not what Allah, but many Muslims, they go around, oh, that Muslim did not represent Islam. Oh, please give me a rest. I mean, please.
It's very interesting that you say this, because especially if you look at the geopolitical developments in South Asia, as far as Afghanistan is concerned, now the Americans leaving there with an embarrassing face is a different matter of fact. But as the Taliban took over, I've interviewed so many national security experts, among whom there were people who said that the problem with the democratic government before, with Ashraf Ghani and his predecessor, is that they did not represent the mass population of Afghanistan. A. B is that even though the Taliban was perhaps not officially present in the last 20 years as the controller and the administrator of Afghanistan, they were still imposing Sharia law in rural parts of Afghanistan. And they say that even today, maybe 80% of Afghan people want such regressive Sharia law to be imposed. Do you agree with this?
This is so sad. Listen, these Muslims, they talk a lot. Zero action. Now, they talk a lot about Sharia is the best, Islam is the best. They're all living in the West. You see, and we saw Toba, we saw the action of when the situation occurred in Afghanistan, the people running to the airport, the people hanging from the planes and everything. And they were men running like this. My heart went, I mean, really, it was a sad moment. But on the other side, it shows how much they are afraid of Islam. They ran from it. They want Islam, but then they ran from it. The women, they say, yes, we want Islam, we want Sharia, we want, hijab rules, burqa rules. Where are you? Why are you running? They say that Islam brings justice for women. Sharia brings justice for women. How come you're selling your daughter because you don't have food on your table? How come you're selling your children? Is that Islam? Is this how a Sharia governs the country, to sell your daughter to be able to get food? There are 57 countries that are Muslim, but none of them are working properly when it comes to Sharia. None of them. Let's be real. And then, in my country, in Denmark, there are like 4 out of 10 people, they want Quran law. But do they want to move to Afghanistan? No. They are, according to my observation, when they they say one thing and act in a different way, they are hypocrites with double standards.
Absolutely. And what do you think about the concepts in Islam which have been often debated about, for instance, women having to compulsorily wear hijab, or triple talaq for that matter? I mean, since a very long time, this debate was going on in India.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that Surah 24, ayah number 31, speaking about the chadar, the scarf on the head. There is nothing about scarf on the head, by the way. It is nonsense. It comes from the hadith again. It speaks about covering your breasts, bosom. It says bosom, and it says do not wear heels so we don't hear you walk. These are the things that are mentioned, point blank. And be modest. That is what it says. Nothing else, to be honest. By the way, and the other point about triple talaq, it is very weird, the whole marriage system. in Islam. Let me put it this way. The talaq system, I don't recall reading the triple talaq unless it comes from the hadith. But what I have noticed about a marriage that many people don't, I think, notice, many Muslims, I didn't even notice that until I left, and I just realized that marriage for a woman, for a Muslim woman, is the contract to have legal relationship, and she is basically bought by her husband. Now, why do I say that? I say it on the basis because when she gets married, the husband has to give her a gift. He has to give her a gift. But at the time of talaq, she has to give him it back if she wants to be free. So I feel like when she's about to get married, she becomes like enslaved in a nicer version, like not as enslaved, like slave without your rights. But one thing is when you are enslaved another way because you have bought a slave from another man, right? Then there's another, like legally you are being slaved. So this is a marriage where on contract you make some deals, so you kind of buy her, and then you give her a price. But when she wants to leave you, she has to give the present or whatever you gave her at the night of the wedding back, and it's called khula. She has to ask for khula. But if he wants to take if he wants a divorce, then it doesn't matter, then it's not valid.
Right.
As far as I know.
Especially when I heard about the Nadia Murad controversy recently in Canada, where she was not allowed to speak about how ISIS, kept many women as sex slaves, and her own story. They said that, certain people in Canada might feel that this is Islamophobic. I couldn't help but laugh.
No, nothing to do with Islamophobia. But again, they throw this to close your mouth. People throw these words to shut a discussion.
I mean, she's a survivor. If I'm speaking about them, then that's a different matter.
It is outrageous, and that's why it is very crucial that we speak about it. Me personally, to be frank, I don't believe in racism. I believe that is nonsense when somebody says we are different races. No. We are one race. We are the human race. Just because a color of difference, like one person is darker than me or lighter than me, it's just a pigment color. It doesn't make me a different race. That is ridiculous. That is something, some people invented. They thought it would work maybe, but come on, it's pathetic. That is something I studied. Somebody, very, very wise lady. I have watched her videos, and she has done so many experiments. Unbelievably wise lady. I love her work. So in my point of view, if somebody thinks I'm naive, I'm sorry, that's your belief, but I don't want to believe in racism. It creates a barrier. I would rather talk about things. But yes, there is discrimination out there. People are treated differently for certain, if somebody's rich or poor or less educated. Yes, we do it among our children. We have favorites. So it's the same way, but it doesn't mean that we are being racist here.
Yeah. And also what I've noticed is that in the predominantly quote unquote Islamic countries, the laws are not similar at all, especially when it pertains to women's rights. Like in Saudi Arabia, it's different as, in Pakistan, it's different. So there's no standard interpretation of what laws they want.
Exactly. This is interesting because in every Muslim country, there should be same law, same rights. Yes. But they aren't, and Saudi Arabia is changing, gladly, luckily. But Pakistan has, they have a lot of freedom for women, loads of. Believe me, I've been there, but I'm not going to go back because of security reasons. Right. But they have loads of freedom. You have no idea what I have seen. It's unbelievable. I don't even see that in the Western countries, to be frank. Right. They have their back open. They have sleeveless. They have jeans. They have tight shirts, and I'm like, seriously? Right. So it's another world there.
They were a part of India for a very long time, so they did imbibe a lot of our freedoms. As an Indian, I have to be right about this. But I respect you. I respect where you're coming from, And what about the concepts like, say, haram and halal and nikah for that matter? Because most non-vegetarian restaurants today in India has to have a halal sign. Otherwise, it's not permissible for many people to eat. At least culturally, it's become a norm like that.
That is so hilarious and sick to my stomach about the halal. Halal for me is just a business, pure business. It is business. There is nowhere in the Quran that says that you have to put tax on it. It just says that you have to say Allah's name before you eat. Right. It doesn't say go and do business. Now, where does this concept comes from? It might be from the hadith. I am not sure about that. I will do research on that. But I can tell you this much, as far as I have read, it is worldwide, if I'm not wrong, globally, 9,000 billions they earn. In 2018, they earned 9,000 billion.
Right.
It's a lot of money just on, and who got it? Saudi Arabia, if I'm not wrong. Right. So alone they're earning that much money. So for me, it is pure business. And I would not have a problem if the money went to the poor people around the world, to whether it's India, Africa, wherever, you spend the money in a good way, charity work. I would say, what, it's money well spent, but I don't see where it's going. Nobody can see where it's going, where these money are being spent.
Yeah. And what I've noticed is that many of these organizations and individuals, and even countries for that matter, which stand up for Islamic principles and values, do not bat an eye when Uyghur Muslims are being, kept in concentration camps in China.
You see, that is something that has caught my attention a lot. The Uyghurs, right, in China, they got caught and everything. The interesting part about these Muslim leaders, they nag when some Western country does something wrong, okay?
Yeah.
But when China did this to Uyghur, I believe it was only the Turkish minister who did say something. I don't remember his name, Aragon, at something like that.
Erdogan?
He opened his,
Was it Erdogan? I would be surprised
him.
He actually speaks against China, because they're kind of brothers with China and Pakistan.
He's the only one did, but nobody else condemned it, as far as I remember. And the worst part is Iran, that is supposed to be the Muslim Sharia law, they just did business with them. And Taliban's want to do business with China and Pakistan. They're very friendly. Where is your Allah there? Don't you fear Allah that you're doing business with someone who is actually who has actually taken your people in custody?
Yeah.
Where is your haya? Where is your self-respect? Where is your fear for Allah? Why you, dear Muslims, don't see that there is something wrong here? Right. Why do you Muslims complain about the Western people, the Kafirs coming and intruding in your countries, when you don't even fight for your own people? Yeah. And you don't even dare to talk about what China has done? You see?
When I was researching more about you and I was looking at some of your earlier interviews, what I also realized is that there is a huge number of people who are joining the Ex-Muslim League. And that's what it's called in the West, at least. And it's growing popular by the day. I thought, there are only few in numbers. But then I did check out a few interviews on YouTube, and then it's a huge number of list that is growing. And obviously that has to be for some reason, right? Otherwise it won't be happening, in a sense of speaking. So if somebody is questioning a lot of their own family's orthodoxy or the religious orthodoxy and are thinking about leaving Islam but are not able to, what would your final message to them be?
I would always say that, listen, whether you are on my channel, on somebody else's channel, please don't just believe what I'm saying. Double check everything I say. Do your research, open your books. When you want to find out, dear Muslims, when you want to find out the truth about Islam, stop listening to the mullahs. Open the book on your own and say to yourself objectively, please show me the truth, show me the right way of this belief. What is Islam? When you with clean heart sits down without fear, without thinking of what other people might say, just you want the truth deep down, you want to know without fear from other people, you will see that there is something wrong with Islam. You don't even, my dear Muslim, you don't even have to go to Hadith to find out how messed up Islam is. You only have to read the Quran couple of times. Read it thoroughly, not once, not twice, at least 3 to 4 times before, and make notes, my friend. Make notes and you will realize that there is something wrong. And please, please, dear Muslims, if a religion teaches you to kill a soul, a person, innocently, without a reason, whether somebody did something wrong or not, a violence doesn't resolve anything. I will not say that I'm against all kind of violence, psychological, physical, doesn't matter. But when a God who's supposed to be perfect, he says, kill in my name, because they're gonna bring fasad or problems or something, and teaches all kind of wrong things. Keep in mind, Allah is the one who created that person to begin with, right? So if some God is teaching you wrong values, you should know up there that there is something wrong with this belief. You Muslim, you don't need a religion to be a good person. You should know from right and wrong. Please keep in mind, you have to think, how would I like to be treated? Keep those things in mind and go in your life. Good values, please. Always study and double check everything. Thank you.
Wonderful. And before we conclude, may I ask you, you were telling me that there are certain values about Sanatana Dharma that you have imbibed. So it'll be very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
I'm very much into spirituality. I love meditation. I absolutely love it. I don't remember loving prayers, 5-time prayers the way I do with meditation, because it's limitless. You can do it anytime you need, and it gives you peace of mind, and you feel connected, with the universe, with the divine, whoever is up there. And I believe in karma. I believe that you are, your body is a temple, and that you are a god in a way yourself, and then there are some things about Sanatan that I do. There are some things that I cannot really explain, but that is something I do because I have seen how it actually works. It's very beautiful. So yeah, and yoga is something I'm trying to work on, because I have to start very slowly. So yeah.
Right. Well, very good luck with that. I hope your journey does open up to a lot of answers in the future. Yeah. It was lovely speaking with you, Amina.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope we can have these conversations in the future as well. Namaste.
Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Citti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.